welcome in everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. We have most of our panel, but the Longhorns lost, so there's no denying that Jay could not be here today.
Yeah, the Longhorns lost. The Eagles won. Actually, his other, the team that he's actually lives around, they did what I thought they were going to do, and won that game. So I tell you, I really do wish I played the parlay.
Oh yeah,
because I'd have made some money. I definitely would have made some money. So far, I mean, let's see what you guys thought that Pittsburgh would cover. They did not, by the way.
They sure didn't.
The only thing
Buffalo, that first half looked a lot better than the second half. Did it?
I mean, the only thing Pittsburgh covered was their caskets.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the thing that's funny about Pittsburgh is now everybody's like, we have to fire Tomlin again. It's just like, man.
No, that's because Pittsburgh doesn't have it. Pittsburgh has had quarterback issues since Big Ben left.
Right. Yeah. So, how much of the drafting does he do? Oh, none of it. That's a GM. Okay. Yeah. Well, and the Packers went back home. So that
our backer. Yeah, they went backer. Yeah.
Exactly. They went back home. Good for them.
And
how's it going, Wen?
Yeah, Love looked.
Jordan, I'm calling it here now. Jordan Love is Daniel Jones 2.0.
I don't think he's.
I mean, I feel like you probably got to a little bit there, but
not that bad, but like 8 good games, and they're paying him $55 million a year. He's not a $55 million a year.
I'm going to tell you this. Here's what I do believe. I feel like that this season was his sophomore slump.
Sure.
That's what I feel. He is slinging the ball and he's trying. So like the one interception actually Slay had a better route. It should have been to the but the receiver did not work his way in the right way. So literally it went right into Slay's hands.
Yeah.
The last interception, similar situation. I mean, he threw into double coverage. They weren't going to give that up. It wasn't like, I mean, that was whatever it was. But the truth of the matter is that the first play of the game dictated the game for the defense.
My parents.
Yeah.
Wow. You ruined their heritage. That is amazing.
The second interception of the game for Love, though, is I think the one concern that some Packer fans have right now, and they're starting to wonder if Jordan Love can actually read defenses over the middle. Because Zach Bond followed the tight end directly across the middle, basically was mirroring the tight end, yet Jordan Love threw it directly at Zach Bond. And if you look at, I think, 9 or 10 of his 14 interceptions of the season, 9 or 10 of those interceptions were on similar plays over the middle where it was either a linebacker or a safety basically following somebody over the middle. Love throws it right to where that guy's following him and it gets picked off. So either Love is not seeing somebody over the middle or he just cannot read packages across the middle and can only read them on the outside throws.
I mean, I think as the game went on, he started pressing anyway, but.
Yeah, he definitely started pressing, but that throw really was, I mean, because truth of the matter is, had he thrown it a little bit higher, Bond wouldn't have been able to get it. You know what I mean? Sure. It was like he literally, he jumped up in the air and it was like right to him. And the guy was a good 8 yards past him.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, I mean, I didn't think that they even had a chance most of this game. It was like the kickoff really was like, did them in. The kickoff did them in.
The score didn't tell you how that football game went. Like that.
No. Well, the Eagles had a very anemic offense.
They did.
You could tell that. Yeah, that Hurts hadn't played.
See, that excuse right there needs to stop being used, and everybody in Wisconsin, like Bill Michaels, all the Wisconsin radio talk show hosts, are done with that excuse. It's the Packers are maybe a young team, yes, but that can no longer be used as an excuse for this team. They made the playoffs last year with the youngest team in the NFL, won a playoff game, took the 49ers down to the final minute. The whole young team excuse cannot be used anymore for the Packers because it's not. They have 2 years of experience under their belt. Some of these players have now 3-4 years of experience under their belt. They're not a young team anymore.
That's right. Now they just suck, according to Stat Guy. They're just
now it's just more of a
case. Everybody.
Now it's just more of a case of they're just an undisciplined football team. And that undisciplined football team comes from the way Matt LaFleur prepares them. He has not prepared that team for big games this season. They are literally 2-6 versus teams that made the playoffs this year, with their 2 wins coming against Houston early in the season at Lambeau and the Rams early in the season at Lambeau before the Rams got healthy. 0-6 against the Eagles, Vikings, and Lions. They have not been able to play the elite teams at an elite level because they're an unprepared football team that gets in their own head and is a very undisciplined football team in big games. And it's shown up every single season against the teams that are in the playoffs. Well, look at some of the penalties the Packers took yesterday.
Yeah,
two
times,
undisciplined penalties. Undisciplined penalties that are just stupid plays that as a player you cannot make. And they've done that all season. Like against Minnesota, the second time in Minnesota, there's 3 times in the second half where the Packers had Minnesota.
Hey, Jamie, how did your team go? How did your team do there, Jamie? Watch from the couch. Watch from the couch.
Against the Bears in Week 17 and against the Vikings, or the Bears in Week 18 and against the Vikings in Week 17, there was 5 or 6 instances where the Packers got Minnesota and Chicago off of the field. But whether it was a defensive holding call, a late hit, a personal foul, they kept the drive going and the teams capitalized. Because the Packers are an undisciplined football team when they're in a high-stress situation against an elite opponent or in a must-win game.
It wasn't like that last year, though.
No, that's what I said. Like last year, they were very disciplined last year. And that's why when everyone keeps using this excuse that they're a young team, they're not a young team anymore. They're just not a very disciplined football team.
I love the comment section today.
So, let's go backwards. Let's start with game number 1 of the weekend. That Saturday game where everybody was like, "Hey, the Chargers are going to do this." And what did I say? I thought
they did not reach an agreement with Mike McCarthy, so now he's free to talk to whoever he wants.
Nice. Okay. Anyway, good.
So yeah, the Chargers. I felt that the Chargers were going to, fall apart. I thought they would fall apart. I didn't think that they were as good a team as they made it out to be. I feel that coaching won them some games this year, but coaching was not going to win them this game. That this game was going to it started out okay.
I thought it would hinge on their defense, right? Like I thought their defense was going to be able to keep them in that. I did not foresee the insane amount of picks.
That's what I was going to say. I did not see Herbert throwing more interceptions in one game than he did all season. He threw 3 interceptions.
That's what I'm saying. Like it was just I didn't see that coming. I thought their defense was going to be the focal point and potentially win them the game. But Herbert was an absolute liability the entire day.
Yeah.
Besides that one throw to Ladd McConkey.
Yes, he had one good throw. For 60 minutes of football, one good throw does not win.
Well, and he had that one interception that hit, I think it was either Richardson in the hands or somebody else in the hands where it hit him right in the hands, and as a receiver was turning to run, he let go of the ball and it landed right in the linebacker's hands. So that one you can't really put him.
To be fair, he had 2 other throws that could have been intercepted.
Yeah.
So I mean, he could have thrown 6 in this game.
Like for Houston though, I'm giving them a ton of credit because this is the way they played on Saturday was the way I think a lot of people expected the Texans to do all season. Like coming into the season, like the Texans were kind of that hot topic conversation of
that they could possibly take a step to get to the AFC Championship
or even the Super Bowl if they could stay healthy enough to take down the Chiefs. Like the way they looked on Saturday.
I mean, they finally played defense.
Yeah, if they would have been doing that all season, they probably would have had a shot to be the number 2 seed in the AFC because they got the injuries later in the season, but by then they were kind of already in that hangover tailspin that they were in for 10 weeks. If their defense could have played like that all season, they would have won probably 3 or 4 more games just because a lot of the games they lost were low-scoring games where they couldn't score points.
So Joe might cash in. Here we go.
Hey, listen, I know, Joe. I'm surprised I didn't do it myself. Because I tell you, if I had a round robin, like if you did a round robin parlay for all the ways, like you'd be making tons of money already.
Yeah.
So short of Minnesota, but like I said, I think Minnesota wins this game for the same reason why I kind of felt that at one point you could almost tell in this Houston game that the Chargers weren't playing. That they not that they weren't playing, like it's obviously they're playing the game, but it's like that their mind was somewhere else. And I kind of feel the same thing with the Rams. You know what I mean? That they are more focused on what has happened in LA and what is like finishing up now. Obviously, it's still continuing to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that weighs on a person much more than you think it does. You know what I mean? These guys had homes, apartments, and stuff like that. Some of these guys lost all their stuff, making sure that their family's okay and things like that. Way too much. There's way too much going on there that steals the focus away from the game.
Mhm.
And I thought that would come to pass here in Houston, and it did. So I don't necessarily blame. I obviously you got to blame the Chargers and you got to blame Herbert and stuff like that, but he just kind of looked like he wasn't all there. He just wasn't all there. And, when you start going in quicksand to pull from the replacements, once you start to go in quicksand, you can't get out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
That's kind of what occurred there. And I feel bad for them because obviously it's not something that they wanted to have happen. And maybe given perfect circumstances, it would have been a much different game. But I mean, it wasn't that type of game.
No, I mean, it wasn't like, honestly, the only game that was really a good watch was Washington Bucks. Yes. Like that game was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even the Eagles game, it was a little like I talking to Eagles fans afterwards. They're like, how did you feel about that? They're a little nervous. I'm like, our offense was anemic and that was expected. It was just expected that it was going to be anemic. You knew that he hasn't played for a month. Yep. He had no timing. There was changes in the way that they did things. Like in the middle of the game, they started out with Barkley.
Yeah.
And Barkley, throwing a couple passes, Dallas Goedert, stuff like that. Then let's throw the ball. Hold on. Fourth quarter came. They scored a touchdown. They're getting close. Barkley. Yeah. And and just basically run out the clock. So I kind of feel that now that he's practicing more, now that he's going to be able to get a full week of practice in. We play Sunday at 2:00. I think that's going to be there's going to be a much better offense than there was yesterday.
I mean, I will say that Josh Jacobs runs that was pretty sick. That one Josh Jacobs run they had where the guys were like trying to pull his undershirt off and he was like dragging the half of the defense with him. That run was pretty sick.
Well, he didn't drag. He drug CJ Gardner-Johnson, who was going after the ball rather than trying to tackle him. And then the same thing where he was pushing. Yeah, like Mitchell, who weighs like 175 pounds, just kept him basically out of the end zone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all that was. But ultimately, they got it. They were going after the ball rather than anything else. And because they weren't holding on to the ball. Packers were giving the ball up left and right.
Yeah.
So they didn't fire McCarthy, by the way. He's just allowed to go talk to other teams.
No, I just got another alert saying the Cowboys and McCarthy have mutually parted ways. The Cowboys are now in the search for a new head coach.
It's what I've been looking for because it's
they didn't fire him. They just did not renew his contract, and they're not going to renew his contract. So now they are both on the thing of you can search for a new job, and we're looking for a new coach.
So.
Yeah, so Adam Schefter, Mike McCarthy is not expected to return to Dallas.
Go figure.
All right. Expected to be a candidate in Chicago and New Orleans. Well, there we go. There we go. Look at that. Every time something interesting happens with any of Jay's teams, he's never here.
Game number 2 of the weekend, the snooze fest of Baltimore and Pittsburgh, where it was just, I'm surprised they even put up 2 touchdowns.
Baltimore took their foot off.
Amazing they hand Derrick Henry the ball 26 times and they win. Who knew?
Who knew that you can win a game where you have an entire drive where you don't throw a single pass?
No, that's what I'm saying, right?
Like literally, that's the definition of ground and pound and just pounding it down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they only have Watt. That's it. That defense isn't really set for Watt and Joey Porter Jr., who can block passes, but he ain't tackling anybody either.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I kind of thought that game was going to go exactly as it did. You guys thought, you thought it was going to be closer, but both of you guys thought it was going to be closer. Jay actually sided with me on this one.
I thought it was just going to be closer just because it's a divisional game, and typically divisional games in the playoffs are close no matter what the records are. And being that both these teams just played each other, 2 weeks ago, and it was 34-17, I figured that it'd be like a 2017, a 21-17 game,
I love that last. That was awesome. That's an awesome one.
That's why I started laughing. It reminds me of one. It was a meme, and this guy went to a party, and this was before the Eagles won their first one, right? He was dressed up as an Eagle, and then his girlfriend went as the Lombardi, and the meme was like, everyone knows he's never going to leave with her. And it's just like, oh, man.
Funny.
I mean, it was like years later that you guys won your first one, but it was, but when it came out, you're just like, oh, that is rough. Funny.
Exactly. So, but yeah, that's Baltimore. Baltimore is, I don't know that Baltimore is going to do very well here against Buffalo. I kind of feel that game may be the the AFC Championship game.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Like that's gonna be a great game though. Like I'm looking forward to that game.
I think that's going to be the more exciting of the two.
I think it'll be the most exciting of the AFC games. Yeah.
What you doing over there, stat guy?
Trying to scroll through Facebook to find something, and every time I click on the thing that's got a video, the video starts playing.
I mean, you can just like turn the volume down,
yeah. Or hit the mute button on the corner.
By the time I realize it's a video, I'm already scrolling past it.
Got ya.
Well, that's where the volume thing comes in.
Right. I will say this for next weekend though, that if Houston's defense can play the way they did on Saturday against Kansas City on Sunday or on Saturday next week, they have a real shot to knock off Kansas City because Kansas City has been prone to turn the ball over this year on offense. Where if Houston can force some turnovers on Kansas City's offense doesn't have that capability. Well, I shouldn't say they don't have that capability, but they haven't shown that capability this season to kind of put up points where if they do turn the football over.
I think it'd be amazing if the Texans could take them down. Like, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, and it's so funny because AFC had chalk. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Mm-hmm. It's the first time I've seen that in a long time. So we'll see. We'll see if that actually happens. Buffalo game was interesting. It was like the tale of two halves.
Yes. Yeah.
Just like I thought, initially when I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, that's, and it made me wonder if Denver actually makes that field goal. Do they was it deflating? Did that what happened? They went in and got deflated and then came out just flat?
Maybe.
It was so odd because they went from, playing a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I don't know. I didn't get to watch as much of the game in the second half, but it didn't look like that Buffalo made a lot of adjustments. It looked like Denver just stopped.
I think Denver also got worn down too because Buffalo almost had the ball 20 minutes more. So I think Denver's defense by the late second half, I think their defense was just pretty much shot. So it was just like whatever Buffalo wanted to do, they could just do whatever they wanted to by the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, I mean, they definitely looked gassed at that point.
So,
I like that this guy's just going
Polar Knights is just killing you. He
Oh,
is not a Vikings fan at all.
right, not even a little bit.
let him go after me. I don't care. It's not like I haven't heard it before.
There's less fire in LA than in this comment section.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say he must be a Rams fan.
Right?
But yeah, so I was surprised when I saw what the score was. I'm like, damn, what happened there? It was just went from close to no close.
Well, I mean, it was like 13-7 with like I think 3 minutes left in the third quarter yet. So I mean, it was still like a very close game late in the third, and then Buffalo converted on one of those Josh Allen scramble drills where it just throws the ball across his body and found a running back kind of sliding in the back of the end zone. And once they got that touchdown, I think that was the backbreaker for Denver, because then the fourth quarter, Buffalo just had the ball, I think, 11 minutes of the 15 minutes and just pretty much ran it down their throat and got 10 more points.
So looking at the one last night, right? It gets won by a field goal in the last second. That kicker had the most ridiculous nervous ticks going up to that, right? Like he adjusted his sock 5,000 times. Like he was placing each individual hair to where he needed it, and then bangs it off the upright to get it through, right?
Yeah.
Say he misses that kick. You go to overtime. Do you trust him to make a kick at all after that? Because if you're that nervous going into it and you just bomb that thing, right? Like, I mean, because it's a good thing they went to that left hash, because had he been in the middle, like that thing would have been way out, right?
I think it depends on how bad he misses it. Like if he goes up and he just hits the upright, that's one thing. But if he just completely like shanks it like maybe 10, 15 yards to the left or right, then I don't trust them. But Washington went through, what they say, 6 or 7 kickers this year.
Yes.
He was added to the team in week 13 or week 14. So it's not like Washington has much of an option outside of him right now. So
no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you go for it on fourth down, because you're
Dan Quinn did it enough last night, so you have to wonder how much he actually did trust him, because how many times did Dan Quinn go for it on fourth down? Like he went for it like 4 or 5 times, and they finally decided, well, we'll kick a field goal now, and they made the one, and then they kicked that one to win it.
Well, and you got to think. I mean, listen,
he was,
as you said, they picked him up in week 13.
Yes.
He's only been with the team for a few minutes. He hasn't been with another team before this. Exactly. This is his first real
game winner
NFL kick. You know what I mean? Like, everything else up to that point was all fun.
Yep.
You know, that kick was, the most important kick of his life. The most important kick of his life.
No question. That kind of kick right there is what this gray stuff comes from.
That kind of kick right there,
beyond belief.
That kind of kick right there probably gets him a contract next year. At least a 1 year deal.
Well, you know what? It actually probably gives him the confidence to go up against Detroit. Now, I wonder, like everybody was saying, there's no chance Washington beats Detroit, and I don't necessarily agree with that.
There's a chance.
Exactly.
Like they did against the Bucks, they got a real shot.
Yeah, so it's actually, Joe, we would have wound up pushing because that was a 3-point game. So we would have wound up pushing because that's how it would have ended. It would have ended. Somebody would have won with a field goal there. Not, just saying. So we would have pushed, and that wouldn't have ruined the parlay. But, I mean, that was probably, it was definitely a better game. I only caught like the second half of things because, it's like I'm trying to get out of the parking lot, and, the thousands upon thousands of pictures I take, it just was, it got a little crazy yesterday. It was just like getting mobbed by people. And I'm like, whoa, yo, guys, relax. I'll get to you all.
Yeah.
Like I had to go to the bathroom, and I never made it to the bathroom. Like it was just like I'm like, okay, I gotta, I'll just hold it some more.
Rocking your pens under the pads and.
Oh man.
The funny thing about that game last night too is Nelly's no longer the most famous person for wearing a Band-Aid on his cheek.
I need more context. Like,
Because Jaden Daniels had that big cut on his cheek that had like blood coming down the side of his cheek. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I
I
did
guess
not
I
really.
missed that.
Well, it was in the second quarter. It was either on their first touchdown pass to the wide receiver, but he came out and he took his helmet off and he had like a 2-inch gash like right under his eye here and just a big pool of blood like coming down the side of his face. So they took like a liquid Band-Aid adhesive thing to close up the cut, and they put like a tiny little strip Band-Aid right here, and then it was basically on the same spot that Nelly always wore his Band-Aid on his cheek. So someone made the comment, Nelly's no longer the most famous person wearing that Band-Aid. Now that goes to Jaden Daniels.
I don't know. I think Nelly's more important.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Nelly's still probably
a lot more famous.
Yeah.
Just my opinion. So, but it was a good game. Is Jamie still here? I know that Jamie, he may have ran off really quickly because
jump in and jump out.
Yeah, he's like, oh, he's going to talk smack on my birds, and then he's out.
Yep.
So, thank you. You know, I tell you, interestingly enough, I mean, you guys watched the game. I assume they did not show me because my phone did not blow up with pictures of me on TV.
Yep. Yeah, no, I didn't see it.
Which is fine. Because I'm at the 50-yard line, and I'm like, they don't show anybody on the 50-yard line. And I feel like now they're not showing me specifically because I have ads on my shoulders. I feel like
that would make sense, actually. Yeah.
Especially if they're not actual NFL ads that they typically show. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like I maybe get away with it more on ABC because ABC is ESPN and ESPN has Jason Kelsey and Garage is part of Jason Kelsey. Tick Pick is a sponsor of the NFL on a couple of in Los Angeles and in Philadelphia. So I mean that would play some, but I think it's the Garage beer because it's Miller Lite and stuff like that. So
gotcha.
But I mean I now understand that a little bit better, and I'm going to be able to do things a little bit better for that. Moving forward. That being said, very interesting enough was all of the things that were done. The NFL film crew is cool to watch and watch them in action. It's rare that I get to sit on the 50-yard line, so I'm always looking down a field, an entire field. So when you're watching, you see, obviously you have the carts going back and forth and stuff like that, and the cameramen running from one side to the other side, to the other side, to the other side. It's always crazy like that. But the NFL films got a lot of stuff on me yesterday. Like they had cameras on me, like blue coats. Yeah. So there's 3 different color coats. There are the red coats. The red coats are the ones that actually film football that day. The blue coats are film behind the scenes, like B-roll, stuff like that. And then the brown coats, which are more local.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are the independent photographers and stuff.
Right. So you get all 3 of those running around. And they're all doing filming of some sort, one sort or another. But
for sure.
It was a lot of fun to be a part of that game and watch that game and stuff like that and see everybody. And obviously there were some Packers fans there. I had a couple of guys come up to me at the end when I was at the bar, and they're like, "Oh man, I had to come try to bust your balls, but we lost."
Yeah, exactly.
I said, "Don't worry, I'll be coming out to see you in April."
Yep.
So he goes, "Hey, they're good. You can get all the cheese you want." I said, "Well, you look like you've been eating too much cheese." But I mean, it's there wasn't really many issues, in the stands or anything like that, which is kind of good. I know that Packers fans can get a little frustrated. I know that I've only been to Lambeau Field one time, but I didn't like it. Honestly, I did not care for it very much at all. And I don't know, how cold was it yesterday?
Philly?
No, you.
Oh, by me yesterday? Yesterday actually wasn't that bad. Yesterday it was like 34 and rainy, but today it's 7 with a -20 wind chill.
Yeah.
So
that sounds dumb.
That sounds like it was. it was like 45 degrees when we were there in mid-November, and the next day we just barely made it out because of a snowstorm.
Yeah.
So it was like something similar to that. Like I wouldn't have been able to go. Like it would have sucked being up in Lambeau Field yesterday.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun. I mean, the game was fun. Although, like I said, the offense was anemic. You know, and that's going to be a big deal moving forward. Obviously, you're hoping that Jalen Hurts can get back into a rhythm, but it kind of felt like it was week one.
Mhm.
The one thing I will say about the game yesterday too, and it's something that I give Vic Fangio and Philadelphia a ton of credit for, because I think it also set the tone. Philadelphia was not afraid to hit people last night. Like
No.
they were not afraid to lay out basically any Packer player that was moving. And if you watch the Packers, there were times where it looked like they didn't want to hit anybody. Like
That
some of
was-
the tackles were very like they would tackle like Saquon, they would tackle like the ball carrier, but they didn't really try to send a message with like a big hit. It's like, oh, I got my arms wrapped around you, like please fall down. Where Philadelphia was aiming to run through you the whole game, and Packers lost like 4 or 5 guys just because they got the ever living crap kicked out of them.
What?
Yeah,
What?
They
There's
looked
not.
like they were just trying to assist you to the ground rather than
Yeah.
hit
What
you.
showed that? Nothing showed that better than the Dallas Goddard touchdown.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, push.
Great.
And then the next drive when Jaden Reed goes over the middle and just gets completely lit up and breaks a shoulder. Like that was the definition of one team wanted to out physical you and the other team was just trying to make it out with any more injuries.
Yeah. Hey Rob. Hey Dumpy. Hey Slugger. You know, yeah, that hit it yesterday. That I don't know who that was with yesterday, but we watched you pile drive that guy. As our buddy Rob Dumpy, everybody knows Rob. Rob is the one who wears no shirt and has all the tattoos. You know, he's that
Okay.
Philly guy. And I guess there was a little altercation. I saw him after the altercation. I'm like, oh, I didn't even like. I'm like, oh, he got a little, little bruise on his eye or whatever. I didn't realize it was from a few minutes just previous, because he wound up. He got into a little scuffle and he just picked him up, boom, under the ground.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Like obviously, like for Packer fans, like they wanted to win this game to get another shot at Detroit, knowing like how close they came to beating Detroit that second time. But they would have had like nobody on offense. Dobbs would have been out because he would have had another concussion. Jaden Reed's got a broken shoulder. He would have been out. The Packers lost like 2 offensive linemen, and the second offensive lineman they replaced him with was like a walking turnstile the whole game, where it was like everybody can go past me for free because I don't know what I'm doing out here. Packers would have had a hard enough time even fielding a competitive team against Detroit next week if they would have won this game.
yeah,
I
it
like
seemed
that
like it was
everybody-
a body bag game a little bit. And then of course, like I feel bad for Nakobe Dean. Obviously, he was playing a really good game, and the way that one tackle where he wound up getting out afterwards, you could kind of see how it rolled on his knee, and it didn't look that bad. I'm like, it looks like a Charlie horse to me. It just didn't look so bad, but it was the same leg that he had the ACL injury before.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
which is a shame because he was having a really good season, and it's going to be tough to get him back. I mean, he's not going to be back for just about a year now. I mean, obviously, it's going to take. He's not going to be back until about October, November next year.
Yep.
Which is a shame, but he's. I mean, thank God we got a Pro Bowl, linebacker, that we just picked up from Kmart, last year. I mean, he wasn't even anything. And next thing you know, he's, first team All Pro. So
That's Zach Bond, right?
Zach Bond.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal. And it is next man up. I mean, the guy who's going to fill in for him had a father who did it really well himself and was he was the one that got the fumble recovery in the very beginning. So it's not like he doesn't know how to play. He's going to be able to show up for these big games.
For sure.
The defense is actually the one thing I am not concerned about. I am concerned about our offense. I am concerned about the offense. But it was good to see Dallas Goedert back. That was.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, Rob. Like none of the games except for last night were very good. Like they were actually mostly kind of blowouts, except for last night's game. So at least we got to see one good one in the wild card round, because going into that game, I admittedly was kind of disappointed in the product.
Well, and I think you'll see a good half tonight. Like the
I
first
think.
half is going to be tight, and then the second half is going to be the end. You know what I mean? And I think that Minnesota is going to do it. I just don't see the Rams having it like that. And again, I think that this is part of the fires and stuff. Now they're playing in Arizona. It's
So that is actually what had me change my pick, because I thought the Rams would beat them in experience, right? But now with all of the extra stuff and the game moving and just like the craziness that's going around with the Rams, that's where I switched my pick over to the Vikings.
when did you switch that? Because I have you written down as the Rams +3.
I switched it just before. Well, I don't care if it's this on the show, but in my actual Pick'ems championship, I had switched it just before it locked.
Okay.
Because it just feels like there's too much off the field stuff that's going to negatively affect the Rams.
And the Rams haven't been able to practice either, have they? Because I don't think they were able to even use their facility. I don't think they were even able to use their facility, obviously, last week because of the fires, and they didn't get into Arizona till, I think, Friday afternoon. So how many days of practice have the Rams actually had?
Well, and then they're flying in their pets and
Yeah. Like the Vikings at least have been able to practice like 4 or 5 days before getting into Arizona, but the Rams weren't even able to use their facility on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday because of the fires. They literally were only allowed to go to their facility to get whatever they needed to get to bring with them to Arizona. And the only practice they had was a Friday afternoon and a Saturday morning practice in Arizona.
Yeah. And Brad, let me be the Carolina Panthers head coach, because then I only have to work for 8 games and get paid for 4 years. So I'm in. Let's do this thing.
Except Dave Canales, he made it more than a year.
Okay, so say I accidentally make it more than a year.
Right.
Hey, then I still have 3 or 4 years of killing my liver on a yacht in the Caribbean. Like, that doesn't sound terrible.
Let's hunt. I like that. I like that slogan. Let's hunt. I just need the offense to start hunting. The defense was definitely on the hunt yesterday. The offense was not as strong. So, and it's and I think again, like I said, I firmly believe that it had more to do with the coming back after not playing for a month and doing it, and because it doesn't matter when you're in the divisional round, you gotta figure it out. Like, you're going to have to figure it out. It's got to happen where you're going to have to be better on offense. You got to put more points on the board. 22 points ain't going to do it.
Oh, for sure.
So,
absolutely.
So, but I kind of feel that the Eagles will do that. I think because he wasn't able to practice at all, he came back. He had like 2 days of practice. Really, he's fine. He's fine. Everything's going to work out just fine. And really, they went to do one tush push, and it was about 2 feet off from AJ Brown, or else that'd have been a touchdown. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was close enough. That and then they went and they still did the tush push afterwards and still made it. Got the first down. So it was,
and slip. Yeah, that's why I said earlier the score didn't really show what that game was.
Yeah, and a lot of people were upset because
that was a smart football play. Like, that is a smart football play.
Right. But everybody had him to have an anytime touchdown, and they all lost that bet.
For sure. Including the guy below us on the screen.
Yeah.
Well, I was telling people on my parlay for an anytime touchdowns was Jalen Hurts, Saquon, and then Dallas Goedert.
Sure.
So I hit on the Dallas Goedert, but that was it. Obviously, the other touchdown was number 83, Dotson. Dotson makes a catch this year. I think that's probably the biggest.
And if you are also bad at betting, you can do it with us right here on Coast to Coast. Use the QR code on the screen, up to 125% of your first 3 deposits. And, of course, 10% bet guarantee if you bet some of the bad takes that we had. Also, if you are here in the Pacific Northwest, use this QR code on the screen, True Fusion Gym, free 5-day pass at any of the 3 locations, Bellevue, Ballard, or University Village. Find your edge at True Fusion Gym. All right. So,
and yeah, I'm seeing that I tell you, the turnovers, when you have 4 turnovers in a game, you need to score more. And they didn't. The fact that we had 3 turnovers and they were still at one point within 1 score.
Yes.
That's a big deal. Like that's typically a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
That is a good way to lose. If you can't capitalize on turnovers, especially ones that were close, right? Like one of those turnovers, they got it at their 15 or 20, something like that.
And they wound up punting. So.
I don't hate that, right? That's the same as if you got a punt and the drive didn't go. But when you have it in positive territory and you still don't come out with points, that's a problem.
Like that was the best the Packers defense has played all year.
Yeah, well, maybe you win this game, but that's not something sustainable. Like if you have the ball in positive territory, you don't come away with points versus most teams. Like you're not going to make the Super Bowl doing that.
Well, if the Lions force turnovers against Philadelphia, they're scoring. They're not going to go.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's scoring like the Lions are scoring. Yeah. The problem is all of their first stringers have been hurt. Their second stringers have been hurt. Now the guys that are popcorn vendors are hurt. I mean, they got 13 defensive players on IR.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just suiting up random people at this point.
But they're still playing pretty good.
Yeah.
They're playing decent. Yeah.
I mean, and truth of the matter is that it's watching the game. The Packers had the best chances against the Eagles when they went into a 0 blitz, when it was all out blitzes. They were getting through, they were getting them, and
you guys weren't connecting.
No. Although there was one block that Saquon Barkley laid on somebody, it was like, whoo, that was a good block.
Yeah. No, but I mean, when they were bringing everybody and you have opportunities on the back end, you just weren't connecting on them. I mean, because the one thing about a cover 0 is if you block it up well enough, you're going to barbecue the defense.
Mm-hmm.
And, you guys just weren't able to connect. And I think some of that obviously is the fact that he hasn't played in a month.
Well, and not only that, but that first play, the first drive, after we get the fumble recovery, we run for 17 yards, we run for a yard, and then I think it's second down. And he has every bit of like 9-10 seconds.
Yeah, he paid his taxes. He paid his taxes in the backfield before he threw the ball.
Yeah.
So and it was that's why I found Dotson. He was able to say, "Oh, you're not open. You're not open. Oh, look at him. He's getting a little open there. Bang." You know what I mean? And it was just like, and eating a sandwich. You know what I mean? So it really was. And then they said, not anymore. Not anymore. They're not going to let that happen again. That was the only time that they did that. Everything else after that became man coverage, and they doubled up on AJ Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So it was 2 on AJ Brown, 1 on every other receiver, and that was the problem. I mean, that safety couldn't handle Dallas Goedert at all.
Yeah,
and even when Calcaterra came in, I mean, he couldn't deal with that either. So it literally is, like I said, it was a better game than the score shows. But, I mean, I don't think we got 300 yards. If we did, we barely touched 300. I think it was, 120 yards passing?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't – the stats weren't great. That's for sure. Let's see. We got –
Hurts had, I think, 166 passing videos.
So passing yards, 121.
For Hurts?
Yeah.
Rushing yards, 169.
So
290 total yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's what I'm talking about. I knew we didn't touch 300 yards.
2 and 11 on third down. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Especially since Green Bay was 7 of 13. Wow. I mean, the turnovers is what got him.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we only had 11 third downs is interesting to me.
Only had 16 first downs. So
Yeah, it seemed like it. It didn't seem like we had a lot of offensive plays. But I tell you that last drive was taken forever on that drive, and it was like at one point it was 10 plays, 49 yards, and I almost felt like, all right, we're gonna get 8 yards, and then we're gonna get a holding penalty, and we're
yeah,
gonna go back 10,
yeah,
and then we're gonna get another holding penalty, and we're going to go back 10, and we're going to get 8 yards, and we're going to get 8 yards. And it was very odd. But I felt like it was killing clock. That's what they were doing. They were just
Yeah.
killing the clock.
yeah. Well, I mean, neither team was exactly lighting it up. Like you had 57 total plays. They had 60 total plays. Like this was, you were just barbecuing clock. Like the game went quick for not being a lot of action, for sure. And slip, yeah. I mean, obviously, you could have negative yards if you get a ring. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. I don't care at all.
Right? The parade's the same either way.
Nobody
The
cares.
other thing I did put in my bet, I told people to take, is that Mitchell was going to get his first interception. And he did.
Nice.
Yep. Nobody cares about how many yards. Nobody cares about statistics as long as you win the ring.
That's right.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's that Raiders just win, baby. I mean, they don't do that, but I like the sentiment behind it.
So tonight, obviously, it's the Rams in Minnesota.
Yep.
We know that whoever wins this game is going to be coming to Philadelphia and playing at 2:00 on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that anyways, that whoever won that game, because the Eagles would have wound up having to either play, well, they weren't going to play the late game because they have something going on in the Wells Fargo Center. So it was going to be the early game regardless.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because whoever played, the winner of tonight had to play Sunday because of the short week.
Correct.
But if Tampa Bay would have beaten Washington last night, then Detroit would have been playing the winner of this game on Sunday. So they had to wait till the conclusion of that game last night because Los Angeles and Minnesota would have been the highest two seeds remaining, and that would have got Detroit. So they would have had to wait till the conclusion of that Tampa Bay game to decide who was going to Sunday. Because the Eagles would have been, if the Buccaneers would have been won, it would have been the 2 versus the 3. Eagles and Bucks would have played Saturday, and then it would have been the Lions versus the Vikings or Rams on Sunday.
Right. Well, I kind of thought the same thing, that there was a possibility that we were going to play on Saturday, but knowing that the Monday game has to play on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, but I also thought that may have had the AFC on Saturday and the NFC on Sunday.
Oh yeah.
I don't have they ever done that? Besides this past Saturday.
Isn't that what's happening now?
No, this year they had the 2 AFC games on Saturday, but typically they try to do one each day. Sunday's the 3 games, so you're going to have 2 of one conference typically and 1 of the other conference. But this was the first year that I can remember where there was 2 AFC games on a Saturday.
Oh yeah, I thought they were actually split that way.
So what's the last game on Sunday? What's on next week? What's
Buffalo and Baltimore get Sunday night.
All right, so they get Sunday night.
I mean, that should be the Sunday night game.
Yeah. And Houston and Kansas City get the first game Saturday, and then Detroit gets Washington Saturday night.
Okay.
I think that's going to be a good game too.
That is going to be a good game. Yeah. And Frankie, he wouldn't be crying about it. He wanted McCarthy gone anyway. So he should be excited about this. Oh, there you go.
maybe that's why Jay didn't show up on the show today. Besides his VA stuff, he's celebrating that McCarthy's not back.
He's got to celebrate something because everything else he has is falling apart.
The Longhorns did not do well. It was the Ewers I was worried about. You know, when we were picking teams, I was like, okay, like I like the Longhorns unless Ewers has that like multi-pick game. If he does that, then they're gonna get spanked, and unfortunately, that's what happened. Because like the first half is like, okay, this is a good game, and then he started throwing to the wrong team, and it became a very different game.
Yeah, that's true.
I tell you, it sucks that I have to root for Ohio State.
Yeah, it's two teams you hate.
And there's definitely like, because I don't care about college much, so
Yeah.
it's like,
There's a
but
hierarchy.
there's definitely a tier. Clemson, Notre Dame, Ohio State,
Yeah.
Michigan.
So
all four.
it's just the lesser of two evils. I got you.
Yeah, that's
Right.
actually an Ohio State gets it.
I mean, Ohio State wins this game.
So, but anyways, while we got another few minutes left, I mean, talking about craziness that started out my weekend. Friday, I go to the show. They call it late night.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see me. I've actually seen myself on some of the clips.
Okay.
But you don't recognize me because I'm painted like I am right now. So,
Okay.
and ultimately,
they didn't want you to paint up for it?
I just chose not to.
Oh, okay. I got you.
So at the end, I go and I introduce myself to Jason. I'm like, hey, Jason, it's good to finally meet you without my face paint.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, what's up? He comes down, gives me a hug and stuff like that. He's like, what you guys doing afterwards? I said, I'm going to my living room, Dolan's. And he's like, his wife is sick, the kids are sick. He's like,
come in.
I got Bo Allen with me. I'm like, well, bring him. And he did.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Him and Bo Allen and Dutch, who is a walking guy. You know, the Dutch is the one that kind of makes sure that, you know, when it gets too mobbed, you know, he's the one that pushes everybody back. And I had a game of darts in my living room.
Nice.
That's
nice.
awesome.
So it was a lot of fun. They enjoyed the wings. They enjoyed the burgers. This has been 7 months, in the works. I told him in June he has to come out here to Dolan's Bar, and we finally got him out here. So, and it was awesome. And of course, it became a mob scene.
Of course,
because and I'm playing darts, and I make a video, and the next thing you know, everybody in Delaware County shows up.
Sure.
Because we are the most Delco bar in the world. So,
hell yeah.
You'll see when you guys come. You'll understand.
I'm in. It's gonna be fun.
And our wings are better than Buffalo Wild Wings.
Well, as of late, that's not setting the bar very high. So, Buffalo, figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Sig. They used to be a sponsor. Well, they used to get free sponsorship. But anyways, now they're not getting anything anymore.
Yeah, well, that's because their wings have been trashed the last couple of
times. Overcooked and a lot smaller than what they used to be.
The last time I went, because I had some free wings to go get, I went there and they were like, I order them extra wet, right? Like I like a messy wing. And they were like dry and burnt. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So Wild Wings, figure your stuff out. Because, man, just disappointment.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Because when I went there, he was like, no, these wings are great.
Yeah, and then
when you show up.
Right. Then we were sitting there and we're like, what is this mess? And Rob, we're supposed to be going there when the Mariners head to Philly.
And that is in, hold on, I'll tell
August,
you right now.
Right? I thought it was August.
It is August 18th, 19th, and 20th.
So there you go. That's when we're supposed to be in Philly, and we'll probably have to drink a fair amount because based on the offseason the Mariners had, we are going to not be good. So there's that. It's
a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so we won't have to worry about me dressing up like in the Friday City Connect jerseys that looked like I was
Mariner jerseys. Yeah. No. I mean, it's better if you do because that way when we lose, it's like, oh no, it's fine. Yeah.
And you guys aren't very good on the road anyways. You guys win at home, not on the road.
Unfortunately, because we really haven't done anything, I don't know that we're going to do a whole lot of winning anyway in either location. The Mariners are such a frustrating team because they have fan support. Like people want to see a good product. And the ownership just doesn't care about winning. They like being a good enough team that people come, but they don't care about winning a ring. And that is really frustrating. But that is a topic for another day. We're at the top of the hour. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our stuff to you. Of course, if you're watching on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. And tune in tomorrow because we are going to talk about a couple of the coach hirings. Deshaun being the tool bag that he is. And, of course, now being out. And does that help the Browns?
Oh, yeah.
So, should be a good show.
Did he get...
He retore his Achilles.
For at
least another year.
So now he's done for 2025.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
he retore the one that he had surgery on because he started doing stuff he wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah. So now the team has to figure out what it is they're doing with the second overall pick. I would imagine that is a quarterback, but that is a conversation for tomorrow. So be sure to tune in. We'll see you then.
Take care.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
Well, didn't want to.